urgent needs of its members. During COVID, we helped our congregations, JCC and JFS. The delivery of food and essentials provided necessities for so many. Like the 6 campaign at Sinai, we all need to be represented and participate both for everyday and critical times. I'm so proud to be part of a community that is ready for both. We vote with action. Most recently, our Jewish Federation gave $10,000 to Ukrainians in crisis. Ukraine has the 4th highest Jewish population in Europe, not just a Jewish president and prime minister. Our Ann Arbor community has raised over $36,000 since the start of this crisis, and the Joint Distribution Committee is prepared on the ground to help with food, medicine, shelter, and migration to Israel for refugees. Why a Jewish Federation gift? The campaign provides for the ever-growing security needs of its institutions, assists our congregations, JCC and JFS. Thank you for giving in the good times, so we will always be prepared. And now, please welcome Esther Goldstein, a powerful influencer and creator of Jewish programming for women for probably the last 40 years or more in Ann Arbor. Please welcome Esther.
Hi, everybody. I'm extremely honored to be invited tonight. When I joined in for the run through, it said, I think, 5 minutes, but I was told 3 minutes. So I'm going to try to really pack it in 3 minutes. But I have to be honest with you. It's like the convert who came to Hillel and said, teach me the entire Torah on 1 foot. And Hillel was much smarter than I, and he knew how to answer him. But I'm not as smart as Hillel. So I'm going to try to give you a thought that you can take home as entrepreneurs of our community. I'm really honored to be here tonight, and I look at all your faces. Wow, we're really lucky to have you all in our community. It's a wonderful time. I don't know when the date was planned, but this is a week before Purim. And I'm always proud of my name, Esther, because there's so much written about the real Esther, the Queen Esther, and the woman who we really admire, and one of the greatest heroes in Jewish history. So let me just give you a little thought about her that perhaps in your work for the community, in your private life, in your community life, you can take with you. The entire Purim is focused around Esther. The book we read is called Megillah Esther. What does the word Megillah mean besides the word that we all think it only means Megillah, meaning like it's a story that keeps going on, and that's truly our life. It keeps going on and on. But Megillah has another meaning, and the meaning is to reveal, legalot. Esther, on the other hand, comes from the word seter, hidden. Esther's job is to reveal that which is hidden. We have one letter that I didn't talk about yet, and that is the Aleph. The Aleph means the godliness, stands for the one and only God himself. She has a very special way, and if you talk about being a powerful powerhouse of a woman, I don't think we find another woman like her in Jewish history. She had all the political connections that one would want to have, and think that would be the success of our life. And yet we find that Esther uses three ways to approach her challenge at that time. And that's what I'd like to tell you about. And that is, and she learned these 3 things from our patriarch Jacob. When Jacob was about to meet with Esau, he prepared 3 things. He prepared a matana, a gift. He prepared a prayer, and he prepared to war. Esther did the same 3 things. She began with a gift. Her gift was the first party that seemed to have no real like, why is she making two parties? What's the first party? That's a gift. Maybe through my gift, I'll be able to have some success. Her second thing, or actually I should say her first thing, really was to announce a day of prayer, a day of coming together, fasting and praying, because she knew all of her political connections, without the connection to the one, the Aleph, could not bring her to her success. And then if all failed, she had to go to the second party. The second party was about really the war, the eliminating the Haman of that generation. So I know I have only 3 minutes, but with all your energy just on the screen, and I hope that you can do it very soon in person, we all have our hidden Aleph that we need in our life to be able to overcome the challenges, whether it's in our private business, our community business, but ultimately we're all working for the same thing, and that is for Klal Yisrael. May our combined efforts bring peace and healing and wonderful blessings for all of you and all of Am Yisrael. Thank you for the invitation to speak tonight. Laila Tov.
Well, thank you, Esther, for those very inspiring words. And now it's my honor and privilege to present our 4 panelists. There's so many wonderful women and talented women in and around Ann Arbor that it was not easy to narrow it down to just 4. However, we tried to get a variety of ages, backgrounds, and types of businesses. Each of our panelists was given 4 questions ahead of time, and we'll have approximately 5 minutes total to answer all of these questions. This will not be an easy task, but I have confidence in them. Manish Tanah Halayla Hazeh. That's not one of the questions, but asking 4 questions is a Jewish tradition. The 4 questions are as follows. What is your background, or how did you start? What was your biggest challenge? What is your greatest satisfaction? What advice do you have for other women who may be starting or considering starting a business of their own? If any of you have questions for our panelists, please put them in chat, and we will get to as many as we can following the presentations. The list of participants will be shared with everyone at the end. Now let me introduce our participants in alphabetical order, and that's the order in which they will also speak. And there are many initials after a lot of the names, and I'm not going to try to tell you what all those initials stand for. You can either figure them out or look them up afterward if there is any that you don't know. Robin Axelrod, LMSW, CPCC, ACC, Positive Intelligence Advanced Training, JD, founder and CEO of Axelrod Coaching and Consulting, co-founder and chief clinical officer of Boone Health. Marla Linderman-Ruschlu, JD, Linderman Law, PLLC. Andrea Rich, MA, CCC-SLP, Executive Director and Speech Pathologist, A2 Therapy Works. Roberta Tankanau, founder and former owner of Moonwings Cafe in Dixboro. And now let us begin our program. Robin, you're on.
I'm so happy to be here. And I'm looking out at a sea of really powerful and wonderful women that make up the Ann Arbor Jewish community. So I am humbled. So who am I? There were a lot of letters after my name, and the letters are accomplishments, but in who I am in my essence is what's important. And the most important thing to me is my Jewish identity and my family. So having said that, the other part of my identity that I'm proud of is my professional identity. When I turned 60 in July, I had a goal of, by the time I turned 60, that I wanted to stop commuting to Metro Detroit. And I see someone on the in this meeting today, Shirley, with whom I worked at the Holocaust Memorial Center. I loved my job. Commuting gets old, especially in the winter. So I wanted to stop that. And I wanted to elevate what I had been doing on the side, which is professional coaching and consulting. I wanted to elevate that to move it front and center and not be on the side. Time to be my own boss. So I did that. And very early on, I applied to be a coach for a brand new startup called Boone Health. I met with the CEO, who happens to live in Birmingham, Michigan. And we met in person. It was about a week before COVID shut everything down. And he said, well, you've got the job to be a coach, but I've really enjoyed our conversation and given your background, would you be interested in coming aboard as the chief clinical officer and as one of 4 co-founders of the company? That is not what I thought was going to happen at the end of our coffee. And being part of a startup was not what I thought I'd be doing at age 60. But here I am, one of 4 co-founders of this amazing company called Boone Health, the mission of which is to make mental well-being and professional development and well-being accessible for everybody, especially in the workplace. So that is how I got started and what I'm doing. The biggest challenge for me in developing the business was foregoing steady income and really foregoing a salary for nearly 2 years. I also did not know the ins and outs of for-profit startups. I spent the bulk of my professional career before this in the nonprofit sphere, mostly in the Jewish community. So nonprofit startup, big change for me. I mean, a for-profit startup. On the other side, the greatest satisfaction brought to me by my business is my job as investing in the professional growth and development of over 100 coaches who reach over 1,000 clients around the world. So I know that every day I am making a difference in the lives of our coaches, and by extension, they are changing the lives and making more meaningful the lives of all of our clients. So in the 2 years since we started, we are growing like gangbusters. I'm having a blast. I'm learning a ton. And I'm doing this part-time because I still have my own business. If you are considering starting your own business, here is my pearl of wisdom. Lean into your skills to find your own voice. When you believe in yourself, everybody else will believe in you too. It's contagious. And I happen to be on social media today, and this picture of Golda Meir popped up, and with a quote that says, "Make the most of yourself by fanning the tiny inner sparks of possibility into flames of achievement," which is a much more eloquent way of saying, find your voice, fan your flames. You have something to offer. Take the risk. It will definitely pay off.
Hello, everyone. I'm having a little bit of initial envy because I only have the JD, but I'm pretty proud of having that JD. I'm Marla Linderman-Ruschlu. I am a local attorney, or at least my office is local. I practice statewide at every level. So district, circuit court, court of appeals, Supreme Court, federal court, Sixth Circuit. I do it all from my basement. And I did it from my basement before COVID. Some people thought I was crazy, and now they think I'm a genius. That's, I guess, why I'm here. So my background is that I've been doing employment, business and civil rights law. I've been practicing for 25 years. And one of the things that I was very lucky to do for a while was I was a law professor and I taught law office management. So, one of the things that I get to do is I help startups achieve their dreams, and I support and protect successful businesses as they achieve and exceed their expectations. So I can be with you and help you grow from the beginning so that you have a path. I love doing that. I will say I've had to start my business twice, neither of which were under good circumstances, really, but I prepared. And one of the things that really helped me is that when I was working in other firms, I learned everything from the bottom up. There was no job too small. So I knew how to file my own documents. I knew every aspect, but that also means that I can teach other lawyers how to do their business. So one day, there was a race between whether I was going to quit or be fired. And I prepared. I just made sure that I knew what needed to happen. And since that time, I've helped other lawyers and businesses start their businesses. It's really important that you have a good foundation. And I was really lucky that when I was starting my business, there were so many people out there willing to help me. So as far as the biggest challenge you faced, it sort of depends on the day. But what I would say for today is overarching is work-life balance. Even for a while, I was a single mom with 2 kids, and I had my own firm. So trying to find that balance throughout my career, I had my son's perfect. I'll say that before I say this, but he stopped growing. So for 3 months, I was on bed rest, and I had a firm, and I was my firm, and had to stop my business. And making sure you plan for those kinds of things is so important. He was born at 3 pounds 7 ounces, fully healthy. He's 17 years old, gets all A's, super proud of him. But one of the things I was able to do, and you can ask both my kids, for the first 8-10 years of their lives, they didn't understand that I worked even, because I was able to achieve that kind of balance. And I think that's important. But part of that was that I bucked tradition. I didn't need to be in a firm with, a big overhead. So I think that's important. The greatest satisfaction brought to me by my business is that I get to help people. I help people every single day. And that's awesome. During COVID, I literally wrote the book on how to reopen your business safely so that employees and employers could work together. A bridge build. Eileen was nodding because I did donate those to many nonprofits. The Jewish community, YMCA, I helped all of the YMCAs. So I think one of the things that I love and I like to tell people is don't think small just because your business is small. You can achieve a heck of a lot from a basement. But every day, especially in civil rights, I get to make the world a more fair place. I get to build bridges. When you help people build businesses, all these people in different areas. So you keep building those bridges. And that's one of the things I think is important today about talking about lifting everyone up together. Because if every single one of us on this call work together, there's all these people who want us to succeed. And that's really my advice to you. Get people to lean in, get people to invest in you, not your business, but in you. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Like people who I admire, I still will call them up and say, hey, like, could we do lunch or coffee? You're doing something so great. I would love to learn from you. I would love to know how. And then they tell you their secrets, because it's not really secrets. They're all proud of themselves and excited to help someone else. And then you learn something, and then you pass it on to the next person. That's something that I've always really worked so hard to do, is lift other people up. One of the things I'm known for is I nominate people for awards all the time. I think that's so important. So I think that's really what I would say: build a community, take advantage of this community.
I think it's my turn. Hi, I'm Andy Rich, or Andrea Rich, either one, and I am the Executive Director of HE Therapy Works here in Ann Arbor. We are a pediatric speech and occupational therapy center. We're a staff of 10 dynamic, amazing women that I love working with every single day, and we're about to open a second location in Plymouth, Canton, so that's really exciting as well. I don't have a business background. I am a speech pathologist by trade, but this is my 5th business I've opened, and I've either kept or I've eventually sold. So let's go into, so that's my background and how I got started with the business. I'd say the most important thing with starting my business was trying to fill a void. So when you're looking to start a business, try to fill a void or a need in your community. Sorry, you'll hear my staff like laughing out there. The biggest challenge that I faced in developing this business, I don't have a business background. I wish I did go to business school, but I do have some suggestions on how to tackle that without having the business background in a second. My greatest satisfaction is the amazing women that I get to work with every single day, and also bringing my family involved, getting my family involved in the practice. My daughter helps me develop my my logo. My son looks at my P&L with me. My daughter and I sat down in Boca Raton at a Jewish deli, and we wrote my business plan together. So she's been doing this with me for the past 5-6 years, and she is now a junior at Green Hills. My business advice, first of all, would be, this actually came from my daughter because she's involved in a lot of nice Jewish groups, is Lador of Ador, which is working from generation to generation. So with that, I work with a lot of clinicians here that are younger than I am. And every day I just bring them in and teach them the skills to run a business. And my hope is that they either start a business like mine, and I will happily send them on their way and be there for advice, or they continue to help build this one. And I think that's very important, that women support each other generationally and also through family. All right, so I don't know how much time I have left, so then I'll get to some nitty gritty. And if I can't get through this, Marcy has my deck. So this is like the tidbits of good information when starting a business. So some of the things that I would normally tell you about is thinking about starting your business, which is your business plan, setting up an LLC, you're starting up a separate business bank account and a separate business card. And then I would talk about helpful resources in Michigan, like the Michigan Small Business Development Center, the Zell Lurie Institute, that's at the Ross School of Business, that's interns that you can get. I've got a great business consultant that I have listed, and also commercial real estate. And for example, when you're getting an office space, a little tidbit would be to always ask for tenant references before signing a lease. I also give you a bunch of ideas for apps and time savers, like Fiverr and Canva. A QR code generator is always a good idea. And I also talk about Google Business and Google Drive, so that you don't have anything on your computer anymore. It's all up in the cloud. You're not losing anything. And that's, again, thanks to some of the generation, I don't even know, is it millennials? Who's younger than me? X, Y? I don't know. Z? I don't know. The early 20s, they teach me all about Google Drive, as does my daughter. And then social media and marketing, Google AdWords, Facebook groups, Facebook ads. The one thing I'll mention really quickly is to follow and comment for all of our businesses today. So hopefully in the chat, everyone can share their Instagrams and share their Facebooks and share your social media contact, and we'll be commenting on it and engaging with it. And that really helps everybody. I will tell you then again, my daughter and her friend Sydney are always with me when it comes to my social media and making sure I'm doing things properly. So I'm thankful for the younger generation on that as well. And lastly, I'd say invest in your staff because they're your most important asset, and invest in your clients. So for example, it could be something little like on Mother's Day at my office, we have a masseuse that comes in and all my patients get to go with their clinicians, and the moms go and have massages, a chair massage in my waiting room. And then for my staff, it could be something small like little Starbucks gift cards. And then when you get bigger, it could be like healthcare and 401k matching. So those are some examples. All right, I might be over my 5 minutes. So my deck is available through Marcy for more pointed information. Thanks, everybody.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Roberta Tankanau, and I'm very moved by all of you. I guess I'm the oldest of all the presenters, so this is weird. So owning a cafe or starting a cafe was really my second career. I was a pharmacist, a clinical pharmacist at U of M Hospital. I did research and did all the student and the mentoring, etc. But my background in food service was zilch, absolute zilch, except for the facts that I like tasteful coffee and good food. I didn't know anything about the food industry. So I started with my son and my husband to get this off the ground. But I started a year earlier in research everything because I didn't know what it meant to own a business. I didn't have a business background. I had a healthcare background. I read books. I had mentors that helped me. I had lawyers that helped me. I had to figure out how to design a cafe, where all the machinery went. Those are just little bits of things that were very difficult and a big learning curve for me. Marketing and choosing vendors, all this was very, very new to me, and something that I had no expertise. But fortunately, I did have good mentors. I had friends in town who owned cafes. I reached out to SCORE, which is it's more than now business entrepreneurials. It's more than that, but it is an organization that helps people start a business, and also, as I think Andy mentioned, was a small business association. Also provides lots of excellent help in starting a business. But there was, with the food business, food service, there was a lot to learn, I will say. And it was good. I had to learn on the fly a lot. As my son would say, Mom, we don't have a nonprofit here. We have to make money. So one of the biggest and costliest challenges, I think, was hiring the right people with or without experience, having to train them and having them meet my expectations for customer service and honesty and commitment. It took time, and it was costly if we hired the wrong person. If we lost someone, that was time not well spent. I had hired pharmacists and technicians in my previous life, but this was different because for most of the cafe employees, this was not their profession. Most of them were college or high school students, and they were very enthusiastic. And that's what I wanted to impress upon them, was whatever they learned there, they could take to the next level of education or to business. And I wanted their loyalty to be number one to all our employees. Our loyalty had to be good because we were front and center to all the clients that came in. We were right there and serving them and preparing food for them. So we had to take the utmost care for cleanliness and for commitment and for good customer service. When I considered starting this business, I guess I had the notion that I wanted to create a space where people would come together for professional or casual meetings, mahjong games, and that they would leave happier and more satisfied than when they entered. I thought it was a great idea to have a community and a neighborhood place for people to come together. We had kids who would ride over on their bikes for ice cream. The parents would come in for coffee. That to me was the most important thing. I wanted the cafe to offer a great concept for food and for coffee and for everything that we had. I wanted it to be top notch. We did a lot of catering for high schools. We gave back to our community in many, many ways. We had fundraisers for our neighbors, such as the Humane Society, because many of their employees were our clients as well. So it was important for me to give back to them. The village of Dixboro, where we had the cafe, didn't have any restaurants at the time. So I felt that our presence was an ideal addition to our community. And that, again, is the sense of community was a common theme in my mind. Give back to our neighborhood when we could, and helping others see the worth that we had. And I would say throughout my experience in this, in my professional world, I was extremely encouraged by women mentors who also had little experience in getting started, little funding. But the wisdom that I gleaned was that mentorship is so vital to receive it and to give it. And women should know that if they want to start a new venture, they don't need to have everything figured out before they start. The business evolves, and you can rely on your employees to help. I want to say, as a quote from Eleanor Roosevelt, I know she wasn't Jewish, but I like what she said: do the thing you think you cannot do. Thank you for your support of the Jewish Federation through Women's Philanthropy.
Judy, I think you're muted.
Wow, that was just so inspiring from everyone, and everyone had different advice and different experiences, which is just what we hope for. I didn't see any questions in the chat unless I missed something. If anyone wants to put a question out there for our panelists, this would be a good time to do that. If not, I think I may have one or two questions. How do you think your experiences as women were different from what a man might encounter? And I ask that for a particular reason, because when I was having my business and I worked odd hours, which maybe you work odd hours too, people would ask me, who's taking care of your husband? And my husband didn't get any such questions in reverse. So I wondered how your experience as women may have differed from what a man might have.
I'll speak up really quickly. And I could say more about how it affected me as a woman personally, where one day we were living in California at the time, and my daughter came home with a report and what do your parents do? And I wasn't working at the time. We had just moved to California, and she said, my dad works in clean energy, which he does, and my mom does laundry. and I took that as my moment of like, okay, I'm going back to work tomorrow because I want to be, I want to show my daughter what women can do, and you could do both. So that doesn't directly answer your question, but that's one way being a woman in business has directly impacted my personal life.
Anyone else?
Yeah, I'll jump in. Throughout my career, I have found that being a competent, educated, and sometimes confident female comes across as being really pushy. That's how it's perceived by many men. And so I have always guarded my speech and chosen what I'm going to say and when I'm going to say it, which by and large has served me well. The startup Boone Health, where I'm working, I'm one of 4 co-founders. The other 3 co-founders are the most amazing partners in the world. They are 3 men in their 30s, and their lives are completely different than mine for tons of reasons. Not only the fact that I'm female and they're not. So I do find it challenging still to raise issues that need to be put on the table without sounding whiny, without sounding overbearing. And I don't think that I would have to worry about those 2 things if I were male.
So
I just want to say that is no fault of my partners. It's just the reality of the dynamics.
So I was going to say, as a lawyer, as a female lawyer, it can be very interesting, especially being a business lawyer. I'll go to business court, which in Michigan, I don't know if people know this, but we have every county has their own business court, and I'll probably be the only female there. I go to depositions even today, and people will ask me if I'm the court reporter. I've had to go and wear skirts to certain courts because if I didn't, I was going to get a dressing down on the record. My favorite is that there was, so I was president of Women Lawyers at the state level at this time. And another president of a statewide organization came up to me and he's like, so you're the queen bee, but he didn't say bee, he's finished that word. And I said, I prefer king, thank you. Because what else am I going to say, right? But then I took that up to that organization's executive director and said, this is not okay. And you know, so there's definitely been those moments. I've had attorneys wink at me during depositions. I've had attorneys, because I'm only 5'3", actually get in front of me while I'm trying to argue. You know, that doesn't happen much anymore, but those are the things that I've had to deal with. But I find that as long as you keep smiling and you know, keep going, it works. Judges nowadays are much more understanding. I've had people get sanctioned for behavior like that, which is always good because then they're just paying me for them being a jerk. But yeah, it still exists. It exists in and I do employment law, so it exists in every area of employment, let me tell you. But I do find, and I think especially with the younger generations, that they seem to have a little bit more, I hate to use the word entitlement, but their voice is stronger. Like they're ready to speak up. And I'm hoping that we will be there to help them, you know, to make sure that they can do that, because you should be able to speak without being worried that you're going to come across as abrasive or, you know, annoying or whiny. It's use your voice, and they need to grow up instead of us making accommodations for them.
Marla, I want to agree with you, and I'll give you an anecdote from my daughter yesterday. She's an attorney working in affordable housing in Atlanta, and her friend is a physician in Philadelphia. And her friend was asking for a raise, and was up for a review. And the guy said, well, I'll give you the average. And she said, that's not acceptable because women are paid 30% less. So I need more than the average. So we're waiting to see whether they meet that argument. But because she had that fact so clearly spelled out, she really had a leg to stand on. I also want to say that many of you have benefited from the actions that we took when we decided to stay in the workforce after we graduated from school. And for my daughter, children who lived close to Burns Park could not stay for lunch. Walkers had to go home. And then we had to get the policy changed so that children who could walk home but had no parent at home could also eat in the lunchroom. And those battles were very small and continuous. And of course, by the time my daughter had 3 kids, she had an employer-sponsored daycare center that was available, and she used it for 12 years. So many things have come forward to boost up women in the workplace that we had to fight for. They're going to have to fight for different things.
Anyone else want to chime in? Or do we have time for one more question, or do we want to move on? So I have one last, move on. Are you saying move on, Marcy? Or ask the question?
We could go either way. We have a couple more minutes if we can maybe do it quickly.
Okay.
I think
I want to know if any of you were particularly inspired by another woman in your life, such as a mother, grandmother, aunt, cousin, whatever, some other woman in your life who helped you get where you are. Anybody?
I'll jump in. I've had many mentors, but the one that means the most to me would be Jean Ledwith King. I think people here probably know her, but I had the honor of working in her office with her, and she has changed sports for women throughout our nation, specifically, obviously, at MSU and U of M. And she was a force to be reckoned with, and she just believed she could do it. And I always do that. You got to believe in yourself. You just got to believe it and take that leap of faith. And she taught me that.
I have 3 women that have supported me every step of the way, and I'm so fortunate to have in my life. One of them is Cindy Chazen. She's my mentor to this day. She was the vice president of the Wexner Foundation, and she continues to remind me that I need to lean into my boldness and go where I want to go, not where other people think I should go. And the other 2 women are my mother and my mother-in-law. My mother-in-law is a business owner. My mother was a working woman from the time I was in middle school. And I've known my mother-in-law since I was 14. So I've watched these 2 women do what they did before they retired and never complain about it. And I haven't inherited that gene so much. I do a lot more complaining than they did, but I'm a work in progress. We all are. So I'm working on that.
I will just say, I have 2 mentors, I would say. It's my mother, who raised 4 children. And when we were teenagers, or some of us before teenagers, she had never had a chance to finish her degree. So she went back to school to get a bachelor's degree. And then she went on to get a master's in teaching. And I saw her up so many nights studying and studying and studying, fall asleep in her chair, but she had a drive to do that. And when she finished, she became a American history teacher at a local high school. And she continued to work for a number of years, what she could give. But that determination, I don't know, go back to school at her age, it was really something. And then the other mentor that I had, not necessarily for the cafe, but a woman by the name of Carol Colvin was my mentor in my pharmacy career. And she helped me to start a business really in the pharmacy, which was separate from the pharmacy. It was a research pharmacy. And she taught me how to dream big and not go a small way, but just dream the biggest things that you could imagine. You can pare them down after that, but dream big, and you can do this. We've got your back. So that was my mentor.
guess I'll jump in as well. I have three and I'll go really quickly. One being can you guys hear me? Am I on mute? Let's see. I'm good.
You're good.
So mom who gave me two pieces of advice, which is use my degree and work outside the home. And I think she said that because she got divorced pretty early in my life when I was about 12 years old. And she saw how important it was that she had a degree and work to fall back on. She didn't have to depend on anyone. My second person is my friend Lori, and I believe she's even on this call. And she's actually an executive coach, but she's also one of my best friends. And she is my biggest cheerleader. Whenever I have a business idea, she's the one that says, just do it. Just go, do it. You got this. And I love people like that. So surround yourself by women like that. My last person is my daughter, Sophia, who is she is just the definition of grit. That kid is the hardest working person I know, and she's 16 years old. So whenever I don't feel like doing something and I can watch her just work, it pushes me harder. So those are the three women that mean so much to me. And I love that question because surrounding yourself with really smart, engaging women is so important when starting a business.
And I don't know if you saw in the chat, but your daughter put, so proud of my mom.
See, she's always there for me. Isn't that great?
Well, thank you all very, very much. This has just been incredible. And I've learned a great deal, as I'm sure all of our participants did. Thank you so much.
I'd like to say one thing is thank you to Marcy and to everyone on the Women's Philanthropy Committee for making this possible. This is a work in progress. You know, it's going to keep going forward and going forward. And you know, the two youngest one and Robin too. You guys are going to make it go forward. And I'm proud of you. I'm proud of you.
Amen.
Definitely thank you for having us. Absolutely. It's been an honor. Great job.
You know,
Marcy, will
as
you let me know when I am supposed to do the next spotlight? Because I think you were taking a picture.
I've already gotten that picture done. We're good to go. And while it seems like we're wrapping up, we are only halfway through our program. We're going to turn over to Carol now for some greetings, and then we're going to move into breakout rooms. But let Carol jump in here.
I thought the comments that you shared with us were so targeted and so positive, and I have spent the last 33 years of my life in entrepreneurship and the New Enterprise Forum and other organizations for men who are starting businesses. So it's wonderful to hear the positivity and not about how much money you needed and how did you raise the capital and who would be your supporters. I know when you started, there must have been some naysayers. And when I moved from social work, then to the interim director of the JCC, and then I went into the insurance business, there were only 13% women. And I'm sorry to tell you that my great company that thinks it's making good progress, I am still the only female agent in Ann Arbor. And a woman who's been a policy owner for 40 years called me. I said, how did you find me? She said, on Google. And I know that she looked for a woman agent, and there I was. Our goal today is to remind you that all the things that you put at risk to be in business and all the times that you worried how you're going to make payroll or how are you going to deal with the setback that happened during COVID, which closed things down through no fault of your own. There were no cars on the road. And Roberta, I know as well as anyone what happened when Pfizer left and you were counting cars that would pass your door, and then there were no cars. I'm a tennis player at Huron Valley, and I know the warmth and joy of going to Moonwinks, but there weren't enough tennis players to replace the Pfizer people. So we know we have to support other women, and our job is even easier today than any day, because for the last 11 days, all you have seen was Ukrainian women walking with their children, living in shelters, and 2 million of them moving. And when we've seen the Federation work, we've always seen the aged, the 20% who are aged. But now we have 2 million that are like your daughters, like your nieces, totally unsure of what to do in the future. And it means we have to step up right now because we have the resources to make these choices. And we don't have to wait for somebody to tell us. When we started the women's division, we started it because they counted how many different donors were in each organization. So that's why a women's gift continues to be very meaningful. You've described being role models for your children, and it's really wonderful. But let me tell you what my bright 16-year-old said the first time I wrote her life insurance policy. Mom, why are you doing this? I said, because life insurance is important for people of all ages. She said, are you planning on killing me? So no, I wasn't planning on killing you, but that was all she knew about life insurance. So we need you to think about stepping up to the Lion of Judah as a working person who can come up with $5,000 a year. It makes me so proud to wear this pin. And I loved my pomegranate. I was almost going to wear it as well, but that's $1,800 a year. So when you're talking to your friends in business, think about how you can make a sacrifice of $150 a month to join this wonderful group of people who are Jewish women all over the country who are activating for Jewish women causes. And with that, I will turn it over to Marcy.
So for those of you who I haven't met, I am Marcy Zukenig, and I am the Women's Philanthropy Manager here at Federation. I really hope that I get a chance to meet all of you, if not tonight, then along the way. Wow, I am in awe of the incredible talent, the power, and just the ruach of all the women in our community. I am so very grateful to our panelists for sharing their experiences, and I am so thrilled to get the pleasure of working with such driven, compassionate, and just outstanding women to bring you this program. A very, very special thank you to all of our participants who have shared their passion, including our presenters, our panel, and really all of you who are here this evening. It's about community, so it's about bringing all of you together. With all that being said, I know that this Zoom group is full of energy and full of really awesome women. So without further ado, we're going to give you all a chance to get to know one another in breakout groups. This is going to be a little bit like speed networking. Each breakout room session is going to be just a quick 10 minutes. That should give you all just enough time to meet one another. Please make sure that you give a chance to everyone to have a chance to introduce themselves. Tell a bit about yourself, who you are in the community, your business if you have one. Not everybody here tonight has their own business, and that is just fine. You are welcome to share your volunteer interests or your family life, just who you are and why you're here tonight, what you're hoping to get out of this networking event. I hope that you'll have some time to make some connection and enjoy each other's company. But after our very quick 10 minutes, we're going to come back together just for a very quick shuffle. We're going to shuffle you up again and be ready for another round of breakout rooms with the same agenda. Again, enjoy. Just sort of keep an eye on the time. We'll give a 1-minute warning when we're about to come back together. Following that breakout room, we're going to rejoin for some just quick closing comments, and then we will leave the Zoom open for anyone who wants to hang around for a little bit more informal schmoozing time. So Rachel Wall, our Communications and Development Manager,